welcome to the Poppycock Report. This
Poppycock.
is episode 2, and we have the great Baldini with us this morning.
Good morning.
To everyone, and good morning to you, the great Baldini. How are you?
I am fat, bald, ugly, and naked. No, I got a bathrobe on just for you. Just for you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I wanted to have respect there because Brian Staley talked about the huge cock, so I didn't want to put everybody to shame.
We saw some really great comments in the beginning that were making me laugh. The flour chicken report pairs beautifully with coffee.
Yes, it
Greetings
does.
and peace. Thank you, Droid132F. We got Neil Glover. Hi, everyone from the UK. Cheers and top of the morning. Coffee is a must, not a musk. It would be bad if coffee was musky.
A musk?
Jenny,
what the hell?
good to see you, Jenny. And we have C. Vasilis. Like and subbed. Awesome. Interested to catch this opium hen report. That reminds me of what that's what Crow says. He says flower genitals. I love that one. Or cock of the poppy.
Cock of the poppy. Ah.
Indeed.
Well, Trey Clark says that I'm hotter than you. And I don't think he's talking about our looks.
Oh, your mic?
Yeah. You want me to turn it down from here? I can do that just to equalize it.
I can't do it from my side.
You can't? You could do you. You do you.
Yeah,
I'll do
I
me.
feel like this is just a one-track. StreamYard just puts everything into one track, and there's no.
Oh, I thought you were saying we had a one-track mind here that we're going off on the.
We do have a one-track mind. Does everybody like my sunflowers?
They're beautiful.
I put them here all by myself. Can you imagine me carrying those with cats following me and twists and turns? I did it for David, actually, because he says that my background is not nice like Jason's and that I should work harder and try harder and I should look nicer too and that lighting is important. So hopefully he'll be happy.
Love and light.
And the reason why I need to look nice today is because unless people don't already know, I am flat smacking my mom.
Oh my God.
10 a.m. Pacific, 12 Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. And I'm terrified.
That's ballsy of you.
I'm terrified. And Rose, can you decorate my BG next? What's a BG? I'm afraid to ask.
Well,
I'll decorate anything for you.
Okay, BR bedroom, B bathroom, BG back.
Yeah, back garden.
Big
garden.
I don't know.
I can't even think of something funny to go with that. That has to be a typo, unless I just don't know special lingo.
Well,
shaking his head. See, we're supposed to just read his background. Yeah, his background. I was right. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah.
All right. Get with the program.
Man, it's morning here, right? It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. I've been up since 3. So
And how is it that we decided to do a morning show right as I was quitting coffee temporarily? So
I don't know what's wrong with you.
That's
hideous. At least you didn't try for decaffeinated coffee, because seriously, that's like non-alcoholic tequila. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
It's pathetic.
And then insert jokes about drugs and them being cut.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, I've seen people
get and getting like 2% of anything.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people get decaf espresso. I'm like, what the fuck? What is wrong with you, man? Oh dear.
What does it taste like? Is there a difference in taste?
I'm sure there is.
Terrible.
But anyway,
let's move on from coffee. Tell me about that song we just played.
I don't even know. No, actually, it's actually the same tune that I used for the intro for Unintended Consequences, my channel. It was a song that was written 1995 with again my bandmates back then, and the weird part about it is that it was like 2 weeks after we'd written it, and went into the studio one night, recorded it real quick. The guitar player Joe said, "Hey man, we'd already wrapped up, as unspooling the tape, and he's like, "Hey, let me put an electric track to that." I'm like, we haven't ever played it that way. He's like, just let me try. And I'm like, okay. So I spun it up again. That was one take. He'd never even taken out the electric guitar, even did an arrangement for it. He just threw it down there. I was like, that's pretty awesome. So yeah, that was in fact right before I left. I'll admit it. I'm giving away too. But anyway, I left Texas and moved to Seattle within weeks thereafter. So that was the last thing that we had recorded as that band. So anyway, yeah, that's and there's actually lyrics to it. I have recorded my vocals anyway to it. Well, one day I'll play it at the end of my show. But yes, we were scrambling at the beginning. Huh?
One day you can let me do the vocals.
Oh yeah,
so that's basically a karaoke track, is what you're saying. You are seriously affecting me with those thoughts. I love to sing. So we need to sing. Let's also announce our plans to sing another song together.
Oh, we will do. Yeah. Sue Finelli, who is awesome. She's just one of the best people on the planet. Well, I was going to say planet, but on the plane.
She's stepping into her confidence like a mofo. She's a feeling perceiver.
Yep.
All right. And she is really she's acting like she's a Jedi in training.
I have never seen anything like it. So it was just a few months ago, really, that she woke up, and you put her in touch with me because she was kind of like, I don't know what. She was really nervous about the whole thing and feeling very, isolated and alone. And I started talking to her, and she's not only an amazing person, but I don't think I have ever seen anybody become as quickly adept at finding Poppycock. I mean, right on top of, like, most people take, I don't know, a year or more to kind of figure out gematria aspect, right, and how the numbers play into it. Some people never do. Some people get really focused on one aspect. They run down one rabbit hole for the first year or two of their awakening process. She has embraced the whole thing, and bravely stands up against
to the Mandela effect.
Oh man.
She's all over everything.
Yeah, and she bravely stands up, and again, her family is really down on her and stuff. And I hope we're not giving away too much, Sue, but we love you. Like, she posts publicly. I don't even post a lot of stuff publicly on my Facebook page. I put it in the groups and stuff. But in fact, you don't see me much on Facebook just because social media. It's anti-social media. But she puts it right out there, and she's so sincere, and she's just such a lovely person. So we love
absolutely.
Sue. And
when I first noticed her name in the Crow group, I started thinking of her. I didn't kind of subconsciously. I was just noticing that she was like me, and she uses a lot of exclamation points. So that's what I noticed first, and then I started noticing that what she was saying was really, really good, and she was pointing out a lot of really interesting things. And so I'm just so grateful for her. So anyway, let's get to the point. Why did we bring up Sue Finelli?
Oh, well, because she rewrote some lyrics to a song, a fairly popular song, and we're gonna do it at one point. We loved her new lyrics, and something I used to do. In fact, I was way back, even at the very beginning of my musicianship when I was in middle school. Some guys at school and I started, quote, a band or whatever, but we started rewriting lyrics to different songs, and this was one of our first was this was so you're too young for this, but way back in the day when the Iranian hostage crisis happened. And so one of our first ditties was we took the Knack's My Sharona, and we made Ayatollah, right? Like, when you go, let him go. Ayatollah. Yeah, is it just a matter of time, Ayatollah? How you going to get away? Anyway, it was it was pretty funny. So and this was even before Weird Al Yankovic started his thing. There was Dr. Demento was a thing back at the time, but very few stuff. And he mostly wrote his own stuff, Duck Butter and things like that. But it was before Weird Al made a big hit out of rewriting lyrics into parody songs. So yeah, it's ahead of the curve. Always have been.
Oh yeah, I can't believe Weird Al took your idea. Wow.
Yeah, well, they do it all the time. So, if I could get, royalty checks from all the stuff that I've come up with. In fact, my wife came up with something when she was a child, and it's just now really taken off. But again, she's on the autism spectrum. Now, again, doesn't mean she's a tard. She's got an IQ between 165 and 180, but she is on the spectrum. And one of the things, again, about autistic people is that they often have very overly sensitive. They have really strong perception things on senses, and one of them is touch, and she doesn't like things touching her, so she always cut off the tags off of her clothes, and she's like, they need to make tagless shirts, and now it's become a thing, tagless t-shirts, and she's like, I did that 45 years ago. I need to get the money. But yeah, so, and in fact, it's a pretty interesting thing that, for example, I don't know, some random divergence here, but this last week I was on a number of different guests on a number of different podcasts and conversations with people, and they always kind of get freaked out when I go, okay, I've hit the end of my time, I got to go. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I schedule very closely with my wife, and that's one thing. Another thing about people on the spectrum often are very rigid in terms of their their schedules and the way they do things. And
I am too. I think I am on the spectrum, because
that's possible.
every time people talk about it, I'm like, yes, that's me. I feel like an alien, and I like my routine. And it is about to be 15 minutes in, and we are pressed for time. We do need to cover the Poppycock.
There's so much Poppycock.
But first, I need to cover a few little things about Crow 777 Radio. We just had Clive DeCarl on, and it was a smash hit. And sometimes I think to myself, when I'm picking guests and stuff and trying to find them, I'm thinking, do we really need another health episode? Like, yeah, people get it. Vitamins. Hello. I mean, are people going to get sick of it?
Vitamins.
But these health episodes, especially because of all this hoax stuff and, trying to keep your immune system, even though I really don't think there's much of a threat. But I mean, people like people have been saying all over our community is like, we're kind of becoming doctors because we can't trust these psychopaths anymore.
Right.
So we have to bring it upon ourselves. So I get it. And so anyway, Clive was totally overwhelmed. He got so many orders. He's going to fill them. He's just so behind. But tomorrow we're going to have to, record a little beginning for the episode coming out on Thursday to explain to people, thank you so much. Sorry for the delay. And, and so keep going to his website, clivedecarl.com, and check out the good stuff. It's pretty much a 0 in Poppycock. And so speaking of the episode that's coming out tomorrow, Crow 777 Radio, we're having 2 constitutional experts from Australia. It's a long time coming. We had to stop. We couldn't record with them that week because of rain. And that wasn't even the flood rain. That was another rain. And they're very chill dudes. And people might start off thinking, oh, like, who are these guys? What are they? What is this? What's the big deal about this? And then you realize these guys are not fucking around. Okay? They're not. And it's so important that we already started talking about it in the forum. And even though it's coming out on Thursday, if you want to get started on learning about these amazing guys, you can check them out on Facebook. I know Facebook sucks, but this is how you could get in touch with them because they are overwhelmed. At first, it looks like it's just a music radio station, but look up the Rat FM in Melbourne. And so, do you like how I pronounce that correctly? It's Melbourne. Not Melbourne. You're supposed to say Melbourne. Okay.
Melbourne, anyway. Right.
So there might be, I think that Ravenwolf7 might be here, so she can verify that. So yeah, check them out and then scroll down and look for the part where it looks relevant, like Constitution stuff and not heavy metal or whatever kind of music they play. And so that's that. I
am also Thursday. A constitutional expert. I had a constitutional this morning, right after my first cup of coffee. And I finished with angel kisses, just so you know. You know what though, after we had that conversation, I know that you were just aghast, but
I am the North Korean dictator and I don't know what you're talking about.
Kim Jong-il. No, you're illin like a villain. No, but I got a number of emails, people saying, now what was that again? What should I get? And so I replied, and then they responded going, oh my God, this is life changing. It's a life altering thing. So when you switch to the angel kisses, which are, baby wipes. Are these natural care? Pardon me?
You have your own channel. I'm not disagreeing with. I'd just like to remind you that Baldini has his own channel called Consequences. You need to check him out.
But mine is
whatever he wants there.
Mine is serious. This is
the truth is that it's not Poppycock what you're talking about. So you're wasting Poppycock time talking about truth.
I gotcha. Well, no, it is truth. It's we're
It's
okay.
truth that it's
It is truth.
we're saying it's a 0 on the poppycock. So can I finish?
Yeah.
May
Okay.
I?
Sorry. I'm sorry, ma'am. Yes, you
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
So
All right.
today we're recording with a repeat guest that we haven't had on in a very long time, well over a year, from the beginning of our Law series, Alphonse
Hmm.
Fagiolo. And it's very interesting because his name could be Alphonse or Alfonso. So just to
That is
let you
fun.
know. So depending, so we'll see what name is said more. But I can tell you during the transcripts last time, I was like, oh my God, should I just write Alfonso every time or Alphonse? Which one is it? And it's both. So yeah, if you check out the transcript, sometimes it's Alfonso or Alphonse, depending on what the human being said. So anyway, he is part of that was episode 113. It's a great episode to go back as a prerequisite for when that one comes out. And it's about common law and what to say should you find yourself in front of a court magistrate. Heaven forbid. But if you find yourself in that situation, there are certain things that you can do, and there might be some misconceptions that people have. I mean, there's a lot of bad information out there
Oh yeah.
and a lot of stories out there. Let me tell you about some poppycock, all the sovereign citizen stuff where people go into courts and they'll commandeer and it'll look like they quote unquote won or had the last laugh, and they go back to their car and it seems like it's over. And then you find out that later on it all happened all over again and they did have to do something. They were, reprimanded in some way or something like that. So we just, like I said, at the end of a video, life does go on, you guys. You guys should find out what happened next. I'm talking to myself too. We all need to vet this stuff out. All right, so that's it. That's all I'll say about Crow. What do you have to add about that, Baldini?
Well, that wasn't poppycock either, but no, that's all right. We get our shameless plugs in. I was going to do this later in the show, but I'll finish this one, this thought now before I forget it. So the Awakening Project, if you guys are not familiar with that, you can of course jump over to my channel and hear more about that, or you can go to the for all the basics, you can actually go Secrets of Saturn from January 1st episode, where I introduced it with your lovely companion, Gravy Jesus Jason and Wayne McCroy, to determine a project that I began to determine what and why people begin to awaken and compared to those who don't. So we're now deep into that. We're, more than 4 months in of that. We've got more than 300 respondents. But I am now working on phase 2 feverishly. So the next phase will come in hopefully a matter of weeks. This is going to be more in the form of a questionnaire. So those who were good with a follow-up, there will be a questionnaire coming with a series of questions. And so I'm working feverishly on that, as well as trying to finish up the astrological casts, because again, doing charts is a project, right? And there's now, again, more than 300 respondents. So we're trying to wrap that up. So if you're interested in that, come again, hang out with me Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. We'll talk more about that. I do usually an hour and a half live on Saturday mornings. So if you're interested in the Awakening Project, hit me up there. I think Rose put my email in the description of the show description of this show as well. So if you're interested in that, hit me up. And I'll, continually going to take new people as well. I'm not going to really close the door because I have found, interestingly enough, some of the more recent respondents, a little bit of a shift in their MBTI scores. So that's an interesting. So again, perhaps according to their Myers-Briggs type, they're less quick on the draw in terms of responding, right? But it's a very interesting, very interesting study. So it's fascinating as we go along. So anyway, let's get to the poppycock. We're almost halfway in, and we have not even begun to poppy.
I know. Do you want to flip a coin, or do you want to go first, or shall I go
You
first?
go
I
first.
have a
It's
few
your
little
show.
things.
It's your show. I'm just here for my looks.
But you are my very special guest.
Oh yes, but
All right, fine. So since I'm going to let you lead the way, and I'm going to harness that masculine. I've empowered you to make the masculine decision. It's all about balance. Okay, so I am going to share my screen right now and hit up that website that I mentioned the other night with Scott, News Maps. So if you didn't hear me and Scott talking about this, you see my screen, Baldini?
yeah, this is wild.
Okay, so this is showing you right now what the masses are clicking on. So in this moment in real time, you might see it update while we're looking here, but the biggest boxes represent the most clicks. So this doesn't tell you what's poppycock and what's not. This is basically what the masses are clicking on. And also, so because they are clicking on it, it also tells us what they're being shown. And let me mention before I forget that I logged in or I was still logged into my stepmom's YouTube account the other day. I logged out because I'm no longer working for her, but I noticed for the first time something semi truth related in her suggested videos. Now, before this, like I was telling Baldini before the show, usually the videos that come up would be how to prune a hydrangea, Sarah Brightman singing Phantom of the Opera, just very wholesome, all things related to her show, the Home and Family Show, the Hallmark Channel, Christianity, like very wholesome, nothing controversial. But then I saw this video of, we've all seen it, the nurse who had a very convincing cry, and she brought in the race card that all of the Black people are, oh, here, look, it's updating. Black people are being killed more than white people in the New York hospitals, blah, blah, blah. And so we came to the conclusion, and we both agreed that that would insinuate that that's a high level of poppycock, because if it's being shown to her, then that's for a reason. You know, she's not being shown our show. She's not being shown Crow, even though she should be shown Crow, because the AI knows that I'm her stepdaughter and that I work with Crow and that, you know, what his show is. And I'm always logging in and out and logging in and going back and forth. And I've accidentally clicked on my own links while still logged in, but it still doesn't show her that. So why was she shown this nurse? Maybe because it's a bunch of poppycock.
Poppycock. That gets a 3 on the poppycock scale, because we always say it's not what you know, it's what you can prove, and it's difficult to prove those things out. But it certainly felt as funny to me as the Greg Anderson cop that went poppycock viral, and then he got fired, and that whole thing just felt really off to me. I know, again, it's a message that a lot of people wanted to hear, but the nature of what goes viral, what they choose to show you, is a key telling feature. And I don't know if any of you have had this happen, but certainly recently for me and many others, the last 3 or 4 weeks, when you click on a link through Facebook to YouTube, nearly always now, if it's anything that would interest us, those of us who are presumably here, it's going to say it can't watch it in restricted mode. You have to go to the app to watch it. But if it's anything that fits the narrative, then they're going to show it, which is it doesn't even seem to matter who posts it, but it's all about content. And so whether or not, it's just a fascinating thing. So you can get through it, but it's an annoyance, right? It's just one more roadblock. And so anything that's going to be of interest immediately gets restricted mode. It's a fascinating detail. And so this is something that I watch closely, is the nature of how they play the game. And if you want to know more about how they play the game, really just go back and study a bit of stage magic and what happens there. It's all about misdirection, right? So misdirection is a key. To look over here, right? So that you don't see what I'm doing over here. And so misdirection is always a major clue. And misinformation, disinformation, they'll tell you what you want to hear and then fill it up with poppycock. So if something...
Who the heck is Joe Wicks? Joe Wicks reveals he schedules sex one night a week with his wife, Rosie, from the Daily Mail. Look how big this box is compared to, like,
it must be a personality in the UK.
Huh?
I would guess that's a UK television personality or some kind of personality that we're just not familiar with here in the US.
Yeah, interesting. This is the entertainment category, and look at all these UK related things. And look, even this, you could tell this is BBC, because Killer Kicks. We don't call tennis shoes trainers, sneakers. Do you call them tennis shoes or sneakers, Baldini?
Sneakers, tennis shoes, either one.
Yeah, either one. So anything on here that looks particularly interesting to you? I mean, the first thing I noticed here is that they're saying don't wear face masks if you have lung conditions. So that's an example of a little bit of truth, but not the whole truth, because the whole truth is that you shouldn't wear a face mask no matter who you are. If you are a thing that breathes, don't wear a face mask.
Well, what I noticed right away is that the coronavirus reports are all in that red, indicating danger. The color has an immediate
the world. Yeah.
Yeah, it has an immediate attention grabbing, and it has effect on your mood. So colors are, shown and proven to influence your mood, and the way they color code thing. For example, back when they had the big Ebola crap, it was always in green, and this is something Crow has covered as well. That they break out these color schemes, and so they organize these color schemes to telegraph something. So yeah, predictive programming is a big thing. I noticed it in the chat. You'll see it all the time, and I don't know if so here's just a bit. Well, I'll throw this out. It's kind of random, but a bit of poppycock. In the last couple of days, we've seen a bunch of people on social media break out their avatars. All right, they offer you this avatar, and presumably what it is to populate the AI sim. We've talked about this. I talked about it with Crow on, I think, episode 156 is when we really talked a bit more about the AI machine and why they scrape so much data from you. It's not just to spy on you. Of course they do, and they know everything about you, but part of this is so they can use prediction tools, and they claim now a 98+ percent effective accuracy rate on predicting what people are going to do. For example, where you're going to be tomorrow, next Tuesday at 4:00. They can predict that with a high rate of accuracy. And if they're saying 98+%, I'm thinking it's closer to 100%. But part of what they do, of course, is not just to predict it, but they drive the activity. And I saw, for example, and I think most of us have had this experience where certainly if you talk about something, you'll see targeted ads from Facebook or whomever. But many people are now noting that they have had a thought, never spoke about it, never said anything to anybody, and then they get ads for it, which is particularly creepy. And part of this, of course, is the fact that they're not just anticipating, but they're driving the motion. And this is, again, as Wayne and I have discussed, this is part of the cybernetic feedback loop, where they use a test, and then they run the test, and then they take the information, revise and review, and then repeat. And lather, rinse, repeat. They continue to do this, and so they're able, with those especially who are tied into the system and who are the, again, I don't like using the epithets, but sheeple, the blue pillars, however you want to call it. Again, I don't think it's helpful to just be degrading to other people, but just for our purposes, so we know what we're talking about, those who are kind of blue pill or asleep or however you want to put that, they respond now very rapidly and very quickly. And I've got a number of people, for example, again on Facebook, I know when the next announcement comes out, they're all over it. So these are the biggest, as soon as something happens, like a disingenuous distraction event, false flag, they're the first ones to put up, Boston Strong or whatever. And so they're all over that. They put up the flag and change their avatar, and they do this. So they're all over, Fauci is the big thing. Trust Fauci's the second coming. And Cuomo, oh my God, these guys are so great. They fall in line and then virtue signal it, right? So they're kind of virtue signaling how asleep they are. Well, these are the same people that follow along and did this new avatar thing. And so then the thing comes out, the avatars are what's happening is that they're using it as it downloads the tracking app. And I vetted that out. That's not actually, for some people, I think what's happening, the difference there is that if you have an iOS, Apple device, if you get 13.5, that has the tracking app in it. 13.4, which is where I'm at right now, I won't go to 13.5 because it does have that in there. But they're connecting those two, the avatar with that. I don't think they're connected at all. But the avatar simply is a way to, again, it just populates their AI sim of you, because there are, I would say, probably for every living person, at least 24, depending, from the NSA and the Five Eyes to Facebook to China to Russia, whoever. Everybody's got their own version of it, but they have an AI sim of you, a model of you, and then they run all these predictive scenarios to see what's going to happen next. And to drive it. So really, this is just another form of consent, in my view, that they're just trying to get you to consent and say, yes, I want this. In the same way that what we're seeing again with the face masks, this is a perfect example of driving consent. They're not going to force you to do it. In most cases, they're not forcing you to do it, but they want you to not only consent, but to bully others into it.
About it. bully others, lead,
Yep.
you know, influence others. It's crazy. I have an announcement to make, everybody. So I don't know if you remember my chat with David Weiss and the intellectual wino, my friend Drea. And it's funny because a lot of flat earthers thought that, you know, David did a great job. And a lot of people who believe in the globe thought that Drea won. Drea wants to come back for a round two, and
I want to be part of that.
Austin Witsit Gets It, Witsit Gets It, is
He's
going
awesome.
to be my guest to tackle that. And she wants to bring a PowerPoint and stuff. And I just thank
He's
you,
awesome.
Austin. He's so awesome. And
I
maybe I'll
wanted to
even
invite myself to your next flat smacking, but Austin is perfect. I don't even need to show up.
I think it's going to be perfect for Drea.
I'll watch.
And I'll get you in on this too. You can be maybe we can get Drea on your channel and drive some traffic over to your channel.
Yeah, maybe
I haven't round 3.
I hadn't considered doing doing that sort of stuff on my channel because I stay pretty focused. But I'm happy to try different things. When I listened to Drea,
on my channel then.
When I listened to Drea before, one of the things I told you offline was that because she said that she's INTJ, and I was like, that just doesn't seem right. But then I realized that what she was doing was defend. She said she had studied before, so she was defending a position, and that made more sense. So I have a way of approaching it. I think that might work better than what David was doing, which is his trying to convince and persuade. I don't think that's going to work. I think what you have to do with somebody like that is to get their curiosity piqued. So get them to ask questions. So you ask them questions and say, what would this look like? And then explain this, rather than trying to, rather than being kind of more confrontational and say, it's like this, and then have them have their little pre-planned answer, right? So coming at it kind of from an obtuse angle, I think with people like that might work a little better. And this is exactly, again, what I'm working with the Awakening Project, is to come up with a deprogramming script. And I come to understand that this is going to be different for every person. So you have to really kind of take on your target with wisdom, right? So not everything is going to work the same with everybody, and not everything is going to work on everybody. But I think with Drea, getting her curiosity piqued, because those who are INTJ need to have it make sense. And so what I saw in that stream was that she has the narrative making sense to her, and if any cracks in that is going to create a problem. So what I think you got to kind of do with that is to go around it backwards, right? So get behind the wall and get her to answer questions for herself, and it won't be right then. I don't think that she's going to immediately right then go, oh yeah, right. It'll just be a couple of questions, and she'll go, I'll have to look into that. Right. And then over time.
What's interesting is she is committed to an ongoing discussion with me, because we're genuine friends, and it's kind of, she's a little bit excited that I'm interested in learning more about science, because I used to explain that I had an issue with conceptual physics in the past, but that's probably because I was looking at the orbital model and it didn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
If I can't visualize something, I mean, the whole gravity thing, it's intangible. And if it can be explained by other things, I'm going to go with Occam's razor.
Absolutely.
Now, we are 36 minutes in. Why don't you show us some poppycock? But before you do, I want you to be aware of the timing and to make a decision right now. Do you want to try and take a call or two before we end it at an hour? Or do you want to head out at an hour and then I can take a call or two before
Perhaps. And it will also depend on if my lovely bride has fallen back asleep. If she has, that gives me a little leeway.
All right. Well, anyway,
but
you are so mindful and attentive to her. I love it.
I love her.
An example. We should all be mindful and attentive to our partners, no matter what gender we are. Or
when I was explaining it to Trey Clark, we talked this weekend for the first time, he and I, and he's a funny cat, man. I love you, Trey. But yeah, he was like, yeah, I get it. I'm married too. And I'm like, no, it's not like that. There is absolutely no, there's no pressure, or there's no side eye like, what are you doing? I love her, and so I know that it makes her uncomfortable when there's a plan for something because of her being on the spectrum. And we adore each other. We're just crazy nutty about each other, and I would never do anything that I would harm her in any way. So that's why I keep my word with her and that sort of thing. So anyway, I also see some notes in the chat about what's INTJ, ENFP. So that has to do with the MBTI Myers-Briggs type index. And this is a tool that's used. It has been used in the corporate world, kind of misused in a lot of ways. But what it does, it's a quick test, and you can take it easily online. One that I use is 16personalities.com. You have one that you like, and you don't have to pay the $50 for the official one. But Myers-Briggs, basically, it's a test, and it should be more than 30 questions, and it's just preferences. And you answer these questions, and so there's 4 categories, each of which have 2 responses. So it would give you 16 total groupings that you could belong to. And again, it's based on a percentage, so it's usually not black and white. But this is how you typically the way people intake information and process it. And so the way that they approach information and how they process it. So it's a tool to help understand people better. There we go. All right. So.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and post the link because I have a video of us talking about this in detail for an hour. I'm posting the link in here. Now bring on the Poppycock.
Okay, so Poppycock. So let me share screen here. I don't think I need to share audio, so we're going to look at this one. And okay, we're in. Okay, so here is one of those things, again, where they're trying to convince you that anything that doesn't go with the mainstream narrative is not only conspiratorial, but dangerous and is of itself poppycock. So here we have, and this is complete poppycock, man who called coronavirus fake crisis gets infected and his wife's in critical condition. This rates a 5 on the poppycock scale because it's complete bovine scatology. Look at this guy, see if you trust him. So Jupiter, Florida. There's a space and Florida man. So again, you put all this stuff together. Brian Hitchens said it was a self-proclaimed COVID-19 skeptic about a month ago. He thought maybe it was the government trying something. It's kind of like they threw it out there to distract us. So here's the way that they discredit things. Now he and his wife are in the hospital after contracting the virus. So those can go, ha, see what happens to you crazy people. That's a 5 on the poppycock scale. So there's a number of those articles like that. I don't need to beat the drum too hard on that. Here's another one. And again, one of the things that we see a lot during these lockdowns or stay-at-home thing is that the meal delivery services, that sort of stuff, has really picked up. And this is an interesting article in that, again, it mixes truth with untruths. So here we have DoorDash. What they're really talking about here is that the unsustainable business model, in that when they get capital, venture capital, many companies don't have to make money as long as they're popular, right? So it has to do with scope and scale rather than actually profitability, and it's just not a sustainable model. Federal Reserve. All right, so we have this guy, and again, I haven't vetted this story, but it's interesting that they're talking about it. So we have a local pizzeria who had a $24 pizza, but DoorDash offered it for $16. So he decided, well, I'll just order the pizza and then make, a quick $6, $8 profit on it, smooth $8. And so he did that for a couple of weeks, thinking that they'd get a clue. They did not. So he's continually, he even sent them a message saying, what about it? And they still didn't say anything. So he's making $8 a pizza just by ordering his own pizzas. And then they show up and they just transfer the money. They don't have to deliver it anywhere. It's right there. And so he orders them 10 at a time. Interesting. And then a whole bunch of these poppycocks, anything to do really, of course, with space, but it just gets wilder and wilder. Elon Musk responds to claim he needs 10,000 missiles to terraform Mars. We're going to nuke that shit. Okay. All right. More poppycock. Oh, come on.
Is my audio really faint? I just turned up the gain.
It was, we were getting complaints about that, but I think that you're going to be okay. That sounds
Why
better.
didn't you tell me?
Well, I thought
we were a team.
I thought you would see it in the chat, but okay.
I try to pay attention to what my co-host is saying.
All right.
Anyway, please let me know if I fixed it. All right.
Continue. It does sound better to me, but it's weird that my system is, I don't know, I'm using Pro Gear. And so I get comments sometimes on my live cast that things are a little different in volume. And I think what happens is when it goes into the compression algorithm to get streamed, it does change things a bit, because sometimes things sound really okay to me. And then but by the time they get compressed and out into the stream, it does sound different. And because there's a delay, I really can't monitor it well. So we do rely on you guys in the chat to tell us what's up with that. All right, so here's one that's super poppycock. And again, if you had any question, I don't think anybody in our chat would have any question about it, but whether or not this is one you can kind of show your friends and say, if there was any question that this is about safety or power and control, here we have a Salem salon owner. This is Salem, Oregon, and so it said that she defied the stay-at-home order. Well, let me clarify this. So they're in now phase 2 of their opening, whatever, and so county by county, they're opening up slowly. Well, the county that she happens to be in, I don't think she was aware that I read a number of articles about this overnight. I don't think she was quite aware that her county had their opening schedule pushed back a little bit. So again, it's about control there. But she did open up her salon. Well, the very day she did that, this particular article is saying that she got hit with a $14,000 fine, which is true. But what really happened is that the very day she goes to her salon, Department of Homeland Security shows up at her home. Executive order is not law. That's true. But again, well, I'll talk about some of that poppycock as we wrap up. But so Department of Homeland Security shows up at her home and talks to the nanny, and the nanny says, I don't feel like I'm comfortable having this conversation with you. You need to talk to the homeowner. Well, when will they be back? And she said, okay, tomorrow afternoon at this time. And so then DHS comes back with Child Protective Services, and they're saying that they have a claim that her home is unfit. Well, she thought, well, but I'll just show them that this is, of course, a clean, loving household. But what they did is just like law enforcement does. They separated everybody, including a 6-year-old child, interview everybody separately. She said they were going through her fridge. They were lifting the seat on her toilet. It was incredibly invasive, and they threatened to take the child from the home because she opened up her salon and then got hit with this fine. So she's now taking them to court. Interestingly enough, also in Oregon, a judge has thrown out many of the stay-at-home lockdown orders in Oregon, saying that they were unconstitutional. Now, many people on our side are taking that as a win, but if you look closely at that, it is really the only reason the judge ruled it unconstitutional is because they didn't fill out the proper paperwork. Had they done so, they would have been fine. And here's what I got to say about all this: is I have commented before and had people just respond blindly. It is that some of these orders, for example, somebody had posted a image of paperwork that they were required to fill out when they landed at a particular airport that says that you have to be checked for coronavirus and that you're subject to forcible, mandatory vaccination, that sort of thing. And I just kind of pointed out that they can't do that and claim that they're sticking with the Constitution. And then I get pushback. Well, they're doing it. Okay, I never said they're not doing it, right? I'm saying they can't make claims that they're sticking to the Constitution. In the same way, right, we got the Marburg case from, it was 1806, something like that, that says that in the Supreme Court, any law that is repugnant to the Constitution is null and void. Yeah, that's good on paper, but in actual practice, that's not what they do. Just like we saw in the chat, somebody saying, well, executive orders aren't law. Okay, we agree with that, and it's a great legal argument. But in actual practice, they're going to do whatever the fuck they want. And so this just shows the nature of the thing. And this is what I've been trying to point out, is that this is an interesting scenario that we're in right now, is that they have, for the most part, dropped all pretense of actually being a nation of laws, and they're just doing whatever the hell they want to and just demanding it. Well, on the other hand, they're using fear and trauma-based mind control to get people to cooperate, right? And to bully other people into, oh, what does wearing a mask hurt? What's wrong with you? You want people to die. That's such a crappy argument. It's such a bullshit poppycock argument. And yet, it's what's happening. So to that end, again, what I'm pointing out here is that they've dropped all pretense of doing this, it's unilaterally, right? So they're just doing whatever they want. They are. It looks to me like a mad dash for the finish, and that's unnerving. But in any case, so that's the poppycock I'm pointing out. Is be aware of the the way that they do things, right? They're going to use misdirection, misinformation, try to get consent and appeal to consensus, appeal to authority, this sort of thing, and really kind of cult of personality. You see that the way that they do with Fauci, like there's even a mask out, trust Fauci. Oh, for fuck's sake, really? Anyway, yes, I saw that, Doc Michael, and really, I went back and forth. I tried to vet that out. I'd like to see from somebody who's actually received it. I saw a couple of postings online that appeared that purported to show the actual letter, but they were different and from the same county, and so that gave me pause. So if you can show it from, I guess I would have to see it from somebody I trusted or myself, because the one that I saw that looked most legit when I actually looked it up, the signature and the signee of the person, there's no such person who is the director of DSHS in that county. So that would indicate to me that it's something made up. And again, we see this all the time, where they put something out so that you jump on it and make a big ruckus about it, and then they discredit it, right, to make you look foolish. So be careful and try to vet things before you put them out. Just like we saw with this cop, right? I say POS, Port of Seattle, cop. Greg Anderson, right? It's a message we wanted to hear. A lot of people posted it, went viral, but I can't confirm that it's really legitimate. It smells funny to me. So anyway, are you there? Did I just leave you in the dark?
Yes, I am here.
Hey,
I was trying to prepare a couple of things for when you're going to hand it over to me. I just wanted to show you a couple of things that I thought of you when I saw them.
Okay.
So I
can get rather loquacious, so I apologize for that.
Your loquaciousness is appreciated by all.
Unless I get circumlocucious, and then verbosity is not appreciated. But anyway, you may continue.
All right, the first one. Oh wait, hold on. I just maximized it okay, no, it looks good. Let's see here. I should have just surprised you with it because now I'm like, it's going to be a bigger deal. But like, your favorite.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
And then
yeah.
Opening.
Yeah, I see somebody also posted a meme that said that we've got they put Greta up there as she's now 17, and they put her up there as a coronavirus expert, and then you've got 6 or 8 different medical doctors, including right in the middle our own friend and compadre, Dr. Andrew Kaufman, and saying that these guys have more than 100 years of medical experience between them, and they're being censored by mainstream media. So again, that should tell you something. Anyway, didn't I was just interjecting while you were getting. Oh, there you go. Oh, I like that.
I like this one.
Yep.
Because that is the conspiracy incorrect theory of wearing a face mask. So you got to turn the tables on them and correct people's thinking.
Yeah. In fact, when people accuse me of, conspiracy theory, I go, yeah, no, I'm not a coincidence theorist, because you would have to believe in coincidence. Do you know anything about statistics? The probability of those things occurring are almost nil, right? So, yeah. And it doesn't take much. And this is what I talk about when it comes to, flat smacking or looking at that, or just about any of these things. If you drop your need to defend a position and really use any sort of rational, logical thinking, most of these things come apart really quickly. You can knock over the house of cards really easily, but most people really struggle with that, right? It's been attributed to Sam Clemens, Mark Twain, that it's far easier to fool a person than it is to convince them that they have been fooled, and that is so true for so many reasons. That again, like your friend does, who wants to defend a position, and they don't want to be wrong, and their ego says that they don't want to admit that they have been taken in, and it does take the ability to let go of that. And that's one thing, again, I keep saying that kind of attracted me to Crow, was his little tagline, "Belief is the enemy of knowing," in that many of my really big epiphanal moments came right on the heels of having examined critically examined, and let go of strongly held beliefs. And I had to.
I just think that they don't realize that they are holding on to a faith-based belief. They think that it's fact because it was told to them, and so they just need to deprogram a little bit. And maybe by seeing visual fraud, I think that's a mistake that I've made in the past with flat smacking. I need to have some stuff prepared in advance for visuals to be like, look at this. Don't just hear me say it. Look. So I'm going to try and bring that today.
Yeah, and they often too.
I want to cover this document really quick in case people are not aware. But I'm sure everybody is aware that conspiracy theory was created by the CIA. But here is a document that just spells it out, that they counter it. It says right here, the aim of the conspiracy theorists. I'm sorry. Let me go back here. Our organization itself is directly involved. Among other facts, we contributed information to the investigation. Conspiracy theories have frequently thrown suspicion on our organization. For example, by falsely alleging that Lee Harvey Oswald worked for us. The aim of this dispatch is to provide material for countering and discrediting the claim of the conspiracy theorists, so as to inhibit the circulation of such claims in other countries. So in here, they're talking about other countries, and they're talking about a particular thing that isn't even true. But so they're referring to all these things, but this is kind of like this is them coming out and tipping the hand and being like, we are going to provide material, meaning create false information in order to discredit the claims of others. So
that's cool.
It came up on Facebook in the comments somewhere. I did remember whose post it was. The comment section. But I forgot.
That was Bunny, Brussels Rabbit. His channel is.
No, it wasn't.
Well, I know he posted it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he, but he was one that posted it. So his channel is
awesome. I saw it in the comment section somewhere. Someone posted something, and then there's a bunch of comments that were all good, and I was like, dun, 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 dun. Anyway, we're at 55. How's your lovely bride?
Well, I think I heard her in the background, but if I get the nod, then I'll get it probably 10 or 15 minutes to round out. So anyway, there's that. But let's see. I was going to finish. Anyway, COINTELPRO is basically the name of that. What they do is, again, create disinformation, misinformation, and this is part of, again, the misdirection. And part of that is, again, controlled opposition, what we see with people like Alex Jones, who will often put out a great deal of truth and then act like a complete fucktard to discredit it. So you can point at them, oh, gay frogs, that sort of thing. It is when you look at the way that these guys act, it is so reprehensible and so psychopathic. It really, and here is something I would recommend as well to people. If you haven't done any studying on the behaviors of sociopathic and psychopathic people, it's dark material, but it's very helpful to understand your enemy. When you understand the way they behave, you can easily anticipate their next moves, and you can quickly identify what they're doing. So this is kind of, the old saying from Sun Tzu, know thy enemy. Information is the most powerful tool that you have. So even more so than going out, with weapons or that sort of stuff, is to understand what is happening out there, and understand the means and methods that they use to fool people, and understanding, again, like somebody posted in the chat, that virtue signaling, right, is a big thing, and they're using virtue signaling is what these people are doing. I mentioned it to my wife earlier this morning about Trader Joe's, right? It's a place I like to shop, but they jumped on the board really quickly with this.
That was a zombie apocalypse before this happened.
Yeah. So they jumped really quickly on board with this virtue signaling thing, and they limit the number of customers in the store. And I won't go there now because I'm not going to wait 20 minutes to go in there. And, I said, the problem is that they're, and as a marketing guy, I would advise them that they're going after the wrong customer, because they're going after the Karens who they're cancel culture folks. They'll turn on them in a heartbeat if they see something that they don't like. And if you would instead, go up and say, put up a sign, say no face masks allowed. well, you would be going away from your core market, but you would develop a rabid following amongst those who are against that thing, because they wouldn't give a shit what you did from that point on. If you said no face masks allowed, it's unhealthy, come in and, you know, shop and then get the hell out, that you know, you draw a different client. But that's what, if you want long-term clients, if you target a client who is all about cancel culture, they'll throw you under the bus faster than you than anybody else. So trying to please people who can't be pleased and who are easily swayed by being influenced, right? The whole idea of the social media influencer speaks loudly to people who are influenced by that, right? Because it works. So anyway, yes, Poppycock.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for the super chat. That is so kind of you. And I don't know if you made my morning by telling me that I made your morning. And so I guess you better go to work if that's something that you feel is necessary for the continuation of your survival. Otherwise, I would say just stay. But have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. And Baldini, I'd like to jump in, but I actually kind of forgot what I was going to jump in with. Okay. Oh, well. Oh, do we want to take a call?
Yes,
we're almost at the hour.
I wanted to point out real quickly that I saw Sue Finelli jump in the chat. I don't know if she was here earlier when we were singing her praises, but to your point with Jeff and also Sue that we mentioned at the top of the show, got to tell you guys, genuinely, we love you guys whenever you come here and show up, and it just it's a great way for us to connect with you, and it's genuine, right? At least from, I don't know about Rose, but at least from my perspective, I really, really have enjoyed the time that I've spent with you guys and interacting with you. It's just awesome. And so from my perspective, it's a genuine thing. Rose, on the other hand, who knows?
You articulated that very well, and I couldn't have said it better myself. I feel the same way.
No, I got to tell you, I was kidding. Rose and I have developed a relationship over time when I first began being a guest on Crow 777 radio, and we love chatting with each other. She's such a knucklehead. I love her, and we do. I'm sure we'll break it out at some point, but we love to do accents with each other, and we're like, oh, he's moose and squirrel. Well, now wish me put a rabbit out of my head. Well, don't know what I think you do. And anyway, we do crazy accents, and we'll break it out, I'm sure, at some point, because we just have a ball. Because we're knuckleheads. So that's part of why we wanted to do this show, is just call out Poppycock. We would just talk to each other and go, why don't we doing this live? Because yeah.
A lot of people I talk to, I say, you need to start a YouTube channel. It's a waste that I'm the only one hearing this, because people send me voice messages. Scott used to do that all the time. And so that was why he would, months ago, I was getting up early and like trying to record stuff with both you and Scott, and it just nothing ever came of it at all.
Oh, not
so something finally came of all of us. So we're just gonna keep doing this. We have 100 people. Yay! Thank you guys so much. So what's the verdict? Now here's a question. Because Crow won't listen to me and he won't change his behavior. Now I'm starting to second guess myself. All right. So I need your help and everyone in chat. He always says we've reached the top of the hour. Now, if I recall correctly, in baseball, because I grew up on baseball fields with my cousins, at the end of an hour, you're supposed to say the bottom, right?
That's at the 30. No, that's at the 30 is the bottom of the hour. It's actually we used it in radio as well. The top.
So when is the top and the bottom? Let's settle the score right now.
The top of the hour is coming right up at the 00 mark, and the bottom of the hour is on the 30s. Yeah. So at 12:30, that's the bottom of the hour.
Oh, at the end, 30, because the show is 30 minutes. Right. All right. Well, you confused me because I thought 30 is half. But yeah, so I'm right.
But if you look at a clock,
I need to tell him to say bottom of the hour, because he's like, all right, we're reaching the top of the hour here. But the top of the hour is the beginning of the inning and the beginning of the radio show. So
top of the hour, it has to do with the hour, not the show. So if you look at an analog clock, right, when the
inning.
When the analog clock is pointing at the 30, it points downward. So that's the bottom of the hour. And pointing to the 00 is the top of the hour. Now, do you get it?
Thank you.
I just saw the light bulb go off in your head. I love it.
I love it too. And good thing my camera was on, because I'm a terrible liar, because I instantly show what I'm thinking on my face, whatever can be shown. I'm just like, so I suck at lying.
Well, and I've
And
had,
people think that I cheat in charades with my face. I'm like, I'm not talking. How can you cheat with your face in charades? Anyway,
well, and my
which way
wife
did you
sometimes
call?
asks, my wife sometimes asks why, I don't go on camera, because she's like, you're so expressive with your face. How can they get what you're saying? And I'm like, well, I want them to focus on the message, not the messenger. Besides, I've got a little, I've got my little logo drawing that I've had for almost 20 years now. So I keep that. And besides,
That's
Nakachita,
an interesting question that she asked you. Kind of is it's like she's asking for confirmation on how to recognize social cues. She's saying, well, now how do people recognize social cues? Is it verbally or nonverbal? So it's like she was asking for clarification. Am I totally off base by making that observation or guessing about that based on
no, and
what you said?
no, because she does often ask questions about social cues, because that's one of the issues that she has in the being on the spectrum,
Too.
is missing.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can have Dr. Kaufman on my show to diagnose me with autism
It'd be interesting. I don't
or
reckon.
not.
Well, so I'll say it was actually my wife went her whole life undiagnosed until actually I diagnosed her, and the reason for that is because I had been teaching driver's education, and they gave me a student who had Asperger's, who was in his 20s, and they said he's really smart, and he doesn't trust people who aren't smart because he dismisses them, but he has difficulty with his social interactions. And so I studied up on Asperger's to see what it was about. And then I realized at that point, because my understanding of autism was really the low functioning autistic, that's what I had previously understood. And so I came home and I went, hey, honey, you know what? Have you ever been tested? Because I saw some behaviors, the very rigid behaviors that, and also she didn't like physical things, and sense of smell really intense and stuff like that. And so I was like, have you ever been tested? And of course, at first, she kind of pushed back a little bit because of the stigma around it. But when she studied, we were both like, huh? And then we went in for a screening. And the very first time we went in for a screening, the doc there was like unambiguous, absolutely. And they gave her immediately a diagnosis of autism spectrum. So I had diagnosed her just from knowing her. I will have to say, as much as we've interacted, I wouldn't necessarily say that you're on the spectrum, but I could be wrong because I haven't interacted with you in person.
Yeah, people have told me I'm Aspergic because I'm so rigid and into like my routine, and I like having a plan, and I like being in control and knowing exactly what it's going to happen and how it's going to happen. And I have a problem with correcting people, and I feel like I say awkward things all the time. I do strange things in social situations.
Yeah,
Trey Clark can vouch for that. I made a huge social mistake with him. We're not going to go into that. But anyway, phones are open. So anyone who wants to call us right now before Baldini has to go. And I have to go too soon because I have to get ready for my flat snacking. Like I said, I want to come up with visuals, have a little powwow.
So good morning, Mark. Good morning, Informally Hip. All the folks in chat, welcome. Everybody, I haven't, again, it's hard for me sometimes to keep up with chat. I just kind of look over there from time to time.
Yeah, it's practically impossible.
But
I spend like 10 hours a day in chat with people. So I feel like I do acknowledge people all day in chat. And now I'm trying to focus, but I am getting better at doing both, trying to get better.
All right. Okay. So the lines are open. Just a couple of minutes here. If you can pop in and say hi. Then.
Yeah. And you got to keep it short, guys. Please keep it short because both of us have to go. Baldini, when am I cutting it off? No matter what.
I'd say I'm going to probably run at about 15 after I got, I think
okay,
I got.
So we only have like 10 minutes left. Maybe I'll stay till the bottom.
Thank you, Truth Loops. I appreciate that. You guys rock too. I mean, really, genuinely, I'm not just saying that. It's not lip service. You guys are the reason that we're here, at least for me. I love interacting with folks. The Awakening Project has been for me super eye-opening and so touching. The stories I get of people, their awakening process, and we start interacting often by email. And so I try to stay in touch with a lot of people to keep up with. But
I got someone on the phone, Baldini. I don't know why. Oh, they ended. They hung up. Oh, please call back. I don't know why the ringer wasn't on. Let me see if I can turn the ringer back on. But it came up as a pop-up. Anyway, I'm just looking at I'll just stay looking at the phone tab now.
Yeah, the autism.
Someone call in, please call back.
So I see Ann Gaynor was diagnosed, and so yeah, we, between my wife and I, we certainly say it's not. I don't think that they say disorder. I don't think it's a disorder at all. It's neurotypical, so it's different. But she has pragmatic ways of looking at things that has really opened my eyes that I would never have thought of, because I'm to some degree emotionally invested, where she doesn't have that, and so she can look at situations and make the right call by jettisoning the emotions attached to it and looking really at the situation. So she's spectacular at certain things, and just she is a savant in some areas. Like she loves textiles, right? So she's an expert in textiles, in royal jewelry, right? So she knows every piece of jewelry from all the royals in Europe. Like she can see it and go, yeah, that's that. Just fast.
I'm gonna call just to see if it works, because
you're going to test that line.
Someone did call successfully, but they hung up, and I just want to make sure. 985-401.
Exactly, and it's not abnormal. It's simply atypical, and I think, really, from my perspective, what is considered the norm now is brain damage. It is trauma.
It's working.
Yeah, it's trauma-based mind control.
So it just means that people don't want to talk to us.
That's okay. Oh. I've been kicked out of better places than this.
But yeah, something else that I do that's kind of weird. I feel like when I leave the house, if I'm going to be in the car, if I'm not driving, if I'm the passenger, I bring my laptop with me, because if I feel like I'm in a situation that I can't control, like if Jason is driving and I feel like someone's going to run into him or he's going to run into someone, I just can't. There's nothing I could do about it. I just work on my computer. Or if there's noises that are just bothering me and distracting me, I'll put on my headphones and I'll just transcribe.
Well, if
I feel trapped, I need to be in control of something. Yes, so maybe that's just being a control freak and not.
Yep. I certainly have noticed that about you, though, that you do have a need for control over some aspect. If you feel, and you get stressed, if you feel like you don't have control in at least a part of the situation. Certainly true with my wife. She gets very upset. Right. It's upsetting to her if there's no control whatsoever. If she feels like she has no influence on a situation, that will stress her out. We got a call?
Yep.
Awesome.
Welcome to the Poppycock Report. Thank you so much. Good morning. Yes, I can. Can you hear him, Baldini?
I cannot.
You can't?
No, I cannot.
I can hear you, but unfortunately, Baldini can't. Last time we took calls, there wasn't any problems. I'll have to troubleshoot, but why don't you tell us what's on your mind and I'll relay.
Well, they can't hear it in chat either, so they don't hear the caller either. So you'll have to translate for us.
He hung up. Maybe he couldn't hear me. You know what? When I was on Gerundism Raw last night, I had to switch around my audio cables. And so I have to go back.
Yeah.
Darn it. All right, let me turn off. I'm sorry, guys.
That's all right.
So I'm going to have to fix that, and then I'll just know what to do every Tuesday. Because after Monday, I'll have to fix it.
Next time for sure. Tuesdays and Thursdays, don't forget, we're here on the T days. So let's say you were not planning on being here, and then I just have to, take over your channel. Anyway, so from my perspective, hey guys, again, thank you so much for being here. We didn't get as much poppycock, but we're getting to know each other a little bit better and getting a little bit smoother thing going on here. So, but we love you guys. Thank you for showing up. And yeah, exactly. Only for Rose, get up. Yeah, exactly. I make the commitment and to hang out with Rose, because it's awesome, and you guys are terrific. Thanks so much for showing up.
I have everything written out here. Let me just show you really quick. Oh, Baldini, let me say bye so you can get on the road. Love you, man. Have a great day. I'll just stay on for a few more minutes.
Right on. I knew that you would.
And I have to go too, but I just can't help it. I love these people. All right.
Take care.
Bye, Baldini.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. And I also remembered as he's leaving that we never played our little poppycock, what's it called? Soundbite to call out some poppycock. So we'll have to make sure we have that prepared next time. I saw it on the bottom of his screen when he was sharing it. So we did have it ready. If I had more time, I would fix it right now for sure. I just don't have time, but I just want to show you that I am prepared for this. This is how I could, when you told me that my mic, that I was low, it was on 60 and I usually keep it here. So thank you for letting me know. And that did make sense. And then this is what the virtual audio cables look like. I have all of them here. I set this up because of Brian's tutorial, which you can find on his channel. If anyone can just link to his channel. Oh, boom. I bet that was it. Why did that stop itself? You know what? Since that was stopped, I wonder if that would fix it. Do we want to see if someone can call in just to see if that resolved the issue for troubleshooting purposes? Let me just go. I'm going to open it and I'll just stay on for a few more minutes. I told myself I would leave at the bottom of the hour no matter what in order to prepare for my flat snacking, which I think is a great reason. All right, so phones are open. And let's see if that worked. And if you don't hear me, here, I'm picking it up right now. You have reached Rose777. Hello, can you hear me? I guess they can't. That sucks. All right. Oh. Hello? Hello, are you there?
I can't hear you. I'll hang up and call back if you can hear
Oh,
me.
if you probably have, there's probably an echo because there's an echo for me, but I guess nobody can hear. They can't hear. All right, sorry. I'll fix it. But yeah, I have this here. So the first audio repeater, mic to 3, wave into line 2, line 1 to line 3, line 2 to line 3. You change the system sounds. For under playback, line 2 is default and default comm. Under recording, line 2 is default comm. Line 3 is default device. And then you want all audio coming in on 3 and all going out. Oh, I bet I know what I did wrong in the settings. Oh, let's see here in the settings. No, this is correct. It's correct. So anyway, I will figure it out. I'll just start from the beginning, just like you told me to do, which is the right thing to do. All right, everybody, thank you so much. And I only just stayed on to show you that because I want everyone to take calls and everyone to see that it is simple to do. And so thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great day. And please be back here at noon Central, which is 10 Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern, and you guys will get to meet my mom. And hopefully she won't say anything really embarrassing and I won't regret it. I hope I don't regret it. It's possible I'll regret it, but we'll find out together. This is serious. She has no idea what's coming. She thinks Flat Earth is a joke. She doesn't think that I'm into it. So she'll know because I'm going to explain it and she'll have to see that it's flat, right? All right. Bye, guys.